Hello, a very good afternoon and welcome to the Study UK Undergraduate Open Day. I am Azhar and I'm joined by my colleague Deepika for this event, and we work for the Higher Education Department of the British Council. On behalf of the British Council, I would like to thank Ashok Hall Girls Higher Secondary School and Tagore International School for hosting us today. I want to thank all the students and parents and school counselors and coordinators for joining us today. We are here for an informative session on personal statement, references, interviews, what makes a strong UG application. This will be jointly presented by the University of Bristol, University of Derby, and University of Kent. This will be followed by short individual presentations from each university and an open house question and answer session with all of you. So you can get all your questions answered. You have this unique opportunity to interact directly with the UK university delegates and ask them about the application process, courses, scholarship, health and safety, the university support, about Ucas, graduate route, of course, and anything that you find relevant and need clarity on with regards to higher studies in the UK. Before we proceed, we will be announcing our housekeeping rules. Kindly be on mute and keep your video switched off during the session, and keep posting your questions in the chat box. This will allow us for a seamless delivery of the session. The university delegates will try and accommodate as many queries as possible within the stipulated time. We will be posting our safeguarding policy, and the contact email ID of the delegates have already been posted in the chat box. If there are any questions that we aren't able to address today due to the limited time that we have, you can directly write to the respective university delegates, or you can route your questions through British Council. We will be glad to support you. So today we have Shweta Dua from the University of Bristol. We have Simeria Medalin from the University of Derby, and Emma Spittles from University of Kent. Welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for being part of our undergraduate open day at schools. Before we Hello everyone. Apparently there were some connection issues. So today I'll just introduce the universities now and kick off the session. So today we have Shweta Dua from the University of Bristol. Then we have Simeria Medalin from the University of Derby and Emma Spittles from University of Kent. Welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for being part of our undergraduate open day at schools. And before we start the session, we would like to inform everybody present that we are recording the session for future references. So if you have any apprehensions regarding the recording, you can express it in the chat box. Thank you very much. And I would encourage all the students present during the question and answer session to ask any relevant question that comes to your mind. Don't think any question will be considered as a silly question. This is a unique opportunity for you to have a direct interaction with the university delegates, and we would request to make the most of it. You can post your questions in the chat box, or you can directly unmute yourself and ask the question. We'll try and take as many questions as possible. So with this, I would request our university delegates to take on the stage while I'll be sharing the slides. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Azhar. My name is Emma. I work at the University of Kent. Greetings to you all from the UK, and thank you very much for joining us today. So myself and my colleagues will be sort of spending the next 20 or 25 minutes or so giving you sort of a brief introduction to some of the aspects that you will be encountering when you do complete your undergraduate application. I will first take the first part and focus very much on personal statements, which all of you will need to complete if you are applying for an undergraduate course here in the UK. I always like to start with kind of a definition of what a personal statement is. I mean, it sounds very silly, but it's good to kind of get an overview about exactly what it actually entails. So a personal statement is something that supports your application to study at a UK university. It's a chance for you to explain why you want to study a particular subject, what experiences and skills that you have, and what makes you passionate and motivated to study that particular area. It can be quite a daunting exercise, not just because it's about you, but also it's about your future as well. And it is something that plays a vital role in your undergraduate application. So what we'd like to do is sort of briefly talk to you about some of the top tips that we have when it comes to completing your application. Firstly, to sort of give you an overview about what to actually include in your statement. The first thing to remember is that it is actually about you. So this is your chance to sort of showcase you as an individual, your achievements and your aspirations and your goals. So always remember that you are the central point of this particular statement. Think about your ambitions and motivations. You know, what drives you to apply for particular subject areas? What are you hoping to achieve in terms of your academics, but also your career goals as well? Think about transferable skills and qualities. What do you bring to your studies? Thinking about sort of your communication, leadership, team working skills. And it's important to use real life examples where you can. These examples can be taken from extracurricular activities. So through your schools and colleges, you could be members of clubs, societies, or even things like sports, music, or creative arts. All of these are really good examples to use in your statement itself. Also thinking kind of outside of academia, you can also include things such as any work or voluntary experience, whether that be kind of paid positions or whether it be internships. But also think about if you've been involved with online classes or any summer schools. Again, lots of different ways that you can kind of use that experience or any activity you've done in the past. Another thing to remember is also a chance for you to provide any details about any personal circumstances you want the admissions team to be aware of. So anything to do with sort of family or whether it's kind of academic backgrounds, any kind of sort of circumstances you want the admissions team to be aware of, please do include that in your statement. So both myself and my colleagues from Derby and Bristol have seen lots of personal statements over the years, and we've kind of come together to give you some top tips of things to include when it comes to writing your statement and things to be aware of. I just want to briefly bring Shweta and Sim in there to see if you have any sort of top tips you would like to share.
Yeah, so Emma, herein I would want to just talk about that the statement needs to be honest. Like when the students are writing the statement, it's advisable that you write what is honest, and you should be enthusiastic. There should be enthusiasm when you're writing your statement of purpose, so that there's a right impression which is given to the admission tutor. Sim, you want to add on something?
What I'd mention at this point would be when you write it and after you've written it, make sure you read your personal statement once or twice over. Please make sure you don't have any spelling mistakes or grammatical errors, because nothing can ruin a really gorgeously written personal statement by a small error, which can jump in front of an admissions officer. So that would be my top tip for you. Thank you. Emma, over back to you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, both. So for my top tips are more kind of focused on sort of more practical sort of elements. The first thing I definitely would advise you to do is do your research. You know, not just kind of the subject areas and the courses you're studying, and think about how those particular subject areas will help you in terms of your aspirations, your goals for your future. So, you know, really know the subject area that you are looking to study. Think about the structure. I always like to divide the personal statement into three sort of areas or three sort of different sections. The first is where the research kind of feeds into this part. Think about, you know, the courses itself, the subject areas, what excites you about them? Why do you want to study this particular subject? The middle part is where you bring in your evidence that we spoke about before, thinking about sort of what skills that you have in terms of kind of, you know, what communication experience, what leadership, etc. And, you know, using real life examples, really showcase you as an individual and what you would bring to the course itself. And to finish with it, the conclusion part is sort of bringing it all together and sort of explaining why you are an all-round excellent student for this particular program, thinking about sort of your experience and your qualities, and it's really showcasing why you are the best student for this course. So that is a lot to cover in a personal statement. And I think the other sort of thing to remember is that whilst you do have a lot to write about, you have to be concise. The personal statement has a limit of 4,000 characters, which actually isn't that much. And when you think about all of the different things that you want to include and sort of the different angles you want to approach, the important thing to remember is obviously you need to write with impact, but also do need to be concise. So it's to be prepared to go through several drafts. You know, it may take a while for you to get down to those 4,000 characters. So just to kind of be prepared for that. And the last tip from me is to remember that you only have to write one statement. And this statement will be reviewed by all of the universities that you've applied for. So it's important to remember to avoid using universities by name or colleges by name. And also, if you're applying to multiple courses, just refer to them in the more general terms, thinking about it as a subject or topic as opposed to the specific programs. So you just remember to write about the problem, the common themes, not just about your experiences, but also your personal qualities as well, and how that can be applied to that particular subject area. Great. And just to kind of finish on the personal statement aspect, what I also want to do is sort of give you some do's and don'ts of the common sort of areas that we notice when we're assessing and looking at personal statements, in particular things that we like to see and things that we really don't want to see. Shweta, from your experience, have you got any sort of do's and don'ts that you want to kind of highlight?
Yeah, the one that I would want to make here as a point would be that it should be seen that there should be no grammatical errors, and again, an enthusiasm and being an honest statement of purpose is really important for us to, as a university, to go through that. That's all I would want to add on here.
Perfect.
Sim, you want to add on something?
I think both of you covered it excellently, so nothing for me. Thank you.
Perfect. And just to kind of follow up on what Shweta said, it is important to be genuine in terms of your statement. So being enthusiastic is so important. Really kind of, you know, reiterate why you are interested in a particular subject. You know, one thing that the admissions team really want to see is enthusiasm and motivation from the personal statements. And remembering things like highlighting your strength and outlining your ideas clearly are so important. Make sure you use plain English. Avoid the usual cliches and sort of quotes. I mean, the amount of sort of Einstein quotes that we receive, or Jane Austen, for example, It's not original and it's not unique to you. So I really would avoid doing that. It kind of wastes a lot of space on your personal statement, which is really unnecessary. The most important don't I definitely want to flag to you is don't be tempted to buy or copy a personal statement. Most UK universities have a plagiarism sort of checker. So all of the statements will be reviewed by a software, and it's at this point kind of, statements are flagged up where they have seen some inconsistencies or whether that has been copied from other places. So it's important to know that if your statement is seen as being plagiarized or copied by other people, then it could negatively affect your application. So it's so important just to make sure that your statement is your own. It's not worth taking the risk of having your application rejected because you copied somebody else's statement. And whilst it's important to kind of flag up all of your achievements, and we want to hear from you in terms of kind of, your activities, it's important to make sure that they are realistic and don't exaggerate your involvement. These things always come out eventually, whether it be at the interviews or another time of the assessment process. So just be clear on exactly your involvement and just be genuine, as we've said. Don't leave it to the last minute. Doing the personal statements, as we've mentioned before, it is a big job and it will take you time and you will go through several drafts. So if you leave it to the last minute, your statement will definitely be seen as rushed, and you can easily sort of spot those that didn't take the time on it. So it's important to make sure that you give yourself ample opportunities. Go do your research, really map out your statement, make a list of all the things that you want to include. Also using kind of family members as kind of proofreaders is a really good way to kind of make sure that any kind of spelling mistakes are sort of identified, and just to kind of, get somebody else's viewpoint on it in terms of kind of the draft, because we want your statement to be the best it can be. On the final point for me, just remember there's lots of information on websites, both on sort of various university websites, but also Ucas as well. So if you have any questions about personal statements, definitely get in touch with us or get in touch with Ucas on their website, and there's lots of information there. I'll now hand over to my colleague Shweta, who will talk about references.
Yeah, thank you, Emma. Hello, everyone. I'm Shweta here from University of Bristol. And first of all, thank you so much, British Council, for organizing this event. And I welcome all the parents, students, and counselors over here. So I'll be talking about references, why reference is important when it comes to the Ucas application, what to include. So all these things we'll be talking out in coming slides. Next slide, please, Azhar. So reference is a very, very important part of your Ucas application, and it should actually come in a combination with the personal statement. So probably what I mean to say here is that there should be a synergy between the personal statement and the reference letter. It should not be like this, that in personal statement there are different things which are written over there, and in reference letter there is altogether an opposite thing which is written over there. That would make a conflicting thing in both the things. So that's why there needs to be a proper synergy between the two things that you'll be writing for your Ucas application. And then the question arises that from whom should I get my reference letter? Whether it needs to be my class teacher, my principal, or my subject-specific teacher. So the answer to that question would be that yes, you can go ahead and take a reference letter from anyone. However, but if you can go ahead and take that from someone who knows you better and who has taught you that subject in whichever subject you're choosing for your undergraduate, that would be an advisable one that should be recommended. And that is something that we as a university would recommend from our end, that you take it from that teacher, because they would be able to give a right impression about you because they know you better. And then the third thing is that a personal and an individualized approach should be followed at the time of giving a reference letter from the teachers end, because it's very important to make sure that to mention about that particular student, because that would give us a right impression that what actually the student wants to study is actually the choice that he has made, that is actually confining with what he has done in the past. And to focus on the positives, this is really important for us to go through that. And also it is important that the strengths of the student should be mentioned. And then talking about the potential. So potential would suffice on this way that do you really think that the student is looking out for that particular program, and an in detail thing of that should be mentioned in the reference letter, that yes, the student is really positive about that chosen area, and he would do wonders in that area. So that potential should be there in the reference letter. And as every student is different, so a specific work done by that particular student would be recommended to be added in the reference letter, so that from a university's perspective, it is really important for us to know what that particular student has done, as I mentioned before as well. So a personalized and an individualistic approach would be really, really recommendable. I would just request Emma and Sim if you want to add on something here.
Thank you, Shweta. Thank you so much. That was really comprehensive. From my point of view, I think you covered all bases. Emma, anything from you?
Yeah, absolutely agree. It's really detailed. The only thing I probably would want to mention is just about timing of making sure you get your references, giving your tutors and your principals enough time to be able to prepare the reference. So don't leave it until the last minute.
Perfect. Yeah, that's another important point. Thank you, Emma. Yeah, next slide, please, Azhar. Yeah, so this thing is about what should be included into a reference letter. So the suitability of the chosen subject and how a student can relate it to his or her long-term and short-term career plans, that should be mentioned. That relation should be shown into that letter, plus their attitude and motivation and commitment towards that area, towards that chosen area of subject. Additionally, the qualities like aptitude, enthusiasm, their past and current achievements, that also that into that particular chosen subject area, that would also help. And then talking about any extracurricular activities also, that would again an added advantage if they're added into a reference letter. And if a student has done any kind of open learnings, any exams that they have prepared for higher education, maybe any talented initiatives that they have taken, any outreach programs, any summer schools, so any of these kind of achievements that the student has done from their end, that should also become a part of the reference letter. And lastly, talking about certain specific soft skills that a student possesses, like a team player, whether he or she is a team worker, or he or she can adapt to new situations, because of course you'll be traveling to UK, and that's a different culture, that's a different place. You will be away from your parents, you'll be away from your friends, family. Of course you'll be making new friends, and a new family would be made over there. However, to come, so that it should be there if a student can collaborate or not. So if these qualities can be depicted in the reference letter, that makes university to understand the student a little bit more better. So that's all from my end. That would I would want to include over here for references. Emma and Sim, if you have anything to add on, please feel free to do that.
Nothing further
Okay,
to add.
nothing. Okay, perfect. So I would request Sim to take over then for interviews and portfolios. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Talking about interviews and portfolios, as you can imagine, several courses do require an interview or a portfolio as part of the application process. This is completely normal and usually down to the course specific entry requirements. Talking about interviews, they are designed not only for us to assess your suitability for the course, but also for you to make sure you are choosing the right course for yourself, and whether or not the university is right for yourself. And in order to prepare for an interview, there's two ways of preparing: one, physical location, and two, researching it. So one, with regards to physical location, this may sound quite straightforward, but first of all, please make sure before an interview your laptop, tablet, or phone are fully charged and ready, and that you are in a room that's quite clear and quiet, and that you don't have anything weird in your background. At the same time, make sure that any cats and dogs are evacuated from your room to make sure you don't get any interruptions. And also, what I would highly recommend before an interview is that you do give a trial call with either your family member, a school counselor, or a colleague, to see how it actually feels to be on an interview before you go and speak to the university directly. But with regards to the actual interview itself, it's an exciting opportunity for you to demonstrate your passion for the course and the one you're applying for. What we want in an interview is to make sure that you understand the course, you understand the requirements, you understand what's expected of you. Of course, for it, you would need to research the course, look at the modules and everything, but do not memorize it. An interview with your university is in essence a conversation where you get as much information from us as we get from you. But moving on to portfolios, I just want to highlight here quickly that some courses do require portfolios as part of admissions. So for example, if an interview subject is journalism, portfolios would be a design, graphic design, or fashion design, or product design. And the portfolio is an opportunity for you to show us who you are, your creative ability, and your potential. When submitting a portfolio, you should demonstrate your best work, be of high quality scanned or digital work, usually about 10 pieces of your work. And after we receive it, your portfolio will be reviewed by the academic department. In some cases, a portfolio is as important as your admissions grades. And what I would like to highlight here is that you usually would get an invite for an interview or an invite from a portfolio only once my academic colleagues have reviewed your application and deem you suitable for the course. That will be the next step in the application. That is all from me. In case Emma and Shweta, if you'd like to add anything, otherwise I think we can move on to the presentation part.
Yeah, Sim, nothing from my side. You've covered it all very nicely.
Me too.
Thank you very much for a really wonderful and informative presentation. I'm sure the students would have gained a lot from the presentation. And with this, we conclude the first part of our program. And now we move to the second part, which is the university-specific presentation. And while I share the presentation, I would request Shweta from the University of Bristol to take on the stage.
Yeah, thank you, Azhar. So hello everyone again. So I'm here, Shweta, working with University of Bristol. So I'll be talking about University of Bristol, City of Bristol, and certain courses that we offer, coming up with scholarships and accommodation options available. So Azhar, I'm just waiting for the slides. Thank you. Yeah, so talking about University of Bristol. So University of Bristol, it was established in 1876. It was the first university to admit men and women on an equal basis. The university is linked to 13 Nobel laureates. And additionally, it's a home to over 20,000 undergraduate students and 7,000 postgraduate students. It's a data from 2019 and 2020. And the students who would come to Bristol, they would be studying with students of over 100 nationalities. Next slide, please, Azhar. As a next slide, please. Thank you. Talking about the rankings and the reputation of the university, so we are the member of prestigious Russell Group, and University of Bristol, it's ranked number 58 in the world as per QS Rankings 2021, and it's the top 10 UK university, ranked number 9 in the UK as per QS again, and also it's the 4th most targeted university by the top UK employers, and that's ranked by the High Flyers 2020, and it's also the 5th in the UK for research. Next slide, please, Azhar. Talking about the faculties and the schools that we cater to, so there are 6 faculties which we cater to, and there are different programs that are offered into those faculty and schools. Talking about arts, Faculty of Arts, Social Sciences and Law, Engineering, Sciences, Health Sciences, and Life Sciences. There are different programs that are being offered in these faculties and schools, combining arts into humanities, social policy, international relations, law, medicine, vet sciences, dentistry, anatomy, and also into engineering. So talking about engineering as a domain for University of Bristol, it's a very highly ranked school of engineering for Bristol. And also law. So law is a very, very popular program for us. It's a top 5 law school in the entire United Kingdoms. So very strong school when it comes to law, engineering, computer science, and also data sciences as well. Next slide, please, Azhar. Azhar, can you put on the next slide, please?
Sorry, Shweta, I think there is a lag. Can you see the slide?
No.
Is it visible now?
Yes, it is. Thank you. Okay, so talking about briefly about the entry requirements for the university. So at Bristol, we require 85% and above when it comes to the course entry requirements. And also talking about separate exams that you would be required to appear. Specifically, there are only 2 exams, one for law and another one for medicine. So for law, it's LNAT examination with your CBSE scores, and for medicine, it's UCAT examination with your CBSE scores. There are certain subject specific requirements for certain programs, which would be inclusive of mathematics as well. And of course, IELTS waivers are available for students who get 80% and above in their class 12 CBSE and ISC board. And it's always recommended for you guys to ask us in case you're not sure whether the student would be applicable, whether the student would get IELTS waiver or not. Please feel free to ask us about that information. Next slide, please, Aswad. Okay, so talking about the city of Bristol, it's a very, very beautiful city. So it's based up in the city of Bristol, which is in southwest of England, which is 90 minutes away from London, and it's very close to Paris, Madrid, Dublin. So you can get direct flights from Bristol to Paris, Madrid or Dublin, and you can travel those areas of Europe as well. So talking about the city, so it's the best place to live outside the London, and it's also known as the coolest city and also called the kindest city in the UK, and it's the best place to live in the UK as ranked by Sunday Times 2017. And it's also called the European Green Capital, and is also named as a city which is known as the economic powerhouse of the UK. And if someone loves greenery and places to visit where there's a lot of parks and everything, so there are 140 parks in the city of Bristol. So it's a beautiful place to live in. Azhar, next slide, please. I think there's some lag. I can't see the slide.
Is it visible to you, Shweta?
No. Okay, no problem. I'll just take that over. So talking about the scholarships that we offer. So there are the scholarships that we offer for the international students. Specifically for undergraduate students, there's a scholarship named as Think Big Scholarship, which is given in denominations of 5,000 and 10,000 pounds. This particular scholarship is based on 3 questions. Then there's a separate scholarship form that you'll be filling in for this scholarship. And there's also a scholarship which is called as Global Justice Undergraduate Scholarship, which is for 3,000 pounds, and there are 2 scholarships which are offered for that one. And there's another scholarship which is called Global Accounting Finance, which is specifically for students applying for accounting and finance. And there's Vice Chancellor Scholarship, which is related to the extracurricular activities. There are 20 scholarships. So all these scholarships are different scholarships for the international undergraduate students. Next slide, please, Azhar. Okay, talking about the student union. So there are more than 400 clubs and societies that are there in the campus itself. So you are free to join as many clubs and societies as you want to join as per your interest area. So that's something that you can go ahead and explore. And also I would recommend you to have a look at our website on the Welcome Lounge page. That would again give you much more insight about what we offer as a university in terms of extracurricular and also talking about your interest and hobbies. Next slide, please. Okay, so there are different examples that I can share for the societies that are there in the campus. So, like Asian Society, Hindu Society, Punjabi Society, Sri Lankan Society, Bollywood Dance Society. So you can explore the societies as per your interest areas. And then coming forward, these are the pictures from the events that we had in. I think it was for last year that was there, and so these are the pictures from there. And also talking about next would be accommodation. So now talking about the accommodation, so there are more than 30 plus residential buildings that we have for the undergraduates and the postgraduates in the campus itself. So, and of course there's a deadline which is attached to that. So once you apply to the university and you get an offer from us, then you can go ahead and apply for this, for the accommodation as well. There is a deadline of 30th June, which is every year around this time only, and ideally it's 30th of June only every year. So you need to make sure that if you want to have a guaranteed accommodation for yourself at an undergraduate level, you would be required to apply for that within the deadline. Otherwise you will come into a non-guaranteed pool. So it's advised that you apply for the guaranteed one, so that you can get a confirmed accommodation in the campus. Next slide, please. Okay, and there's one more thing that I would want to talk about: the university's career support that we offer. So the university provides you with all the career support that's there, and they help you with your resume making, talking about the mock interviews. There's other help, and there are career fairs also that keeps happening around the year. So there are loads of opportunities for you to go ahead and explore within the university itself when you talk about from employees' perspective. So the only mantra that you should remember should be that you all need to be very, very proactive when it comes to explore the opportunities within the university, whether it's within the university, outside the university. From employability perspective, you have to be proactive on your own as well, with the support that is available with the university. All the best to all of you. And here I conclude. These are my details. Devesh is my colleague. So we both represent the university here in India. We are based out of Delhi. So, and there's a common email address as well, that is for India office. Feel free to send us any email if you want to know anything about University of Bristol, any specific programs, scholarships, or anything that you have in mind, and you have any apprehensions for anything. Feel free to send us an email or give us a call or WhatsApp us. Thank you so much for your time, everybody, and I hope you have a wonderful session ahead, and I hope this turns out to be an informative session for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Shweta, for a wonderful presentation. And now I would request Sim from the University of Derby to take it forward from here while I share the presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shweta, so far. Let's bring the slides up. There they are. So to introduce myself, I'm Sim. I'm from the University of Derby, and I'll briefly speak to you about university today. I think maximum 10 minutes. So if you can move 2 slides forward, that would be great. Just to give you an idea, I put the statistics up in the first slide, so I get them out of the way. I'm not the biggest fan of statistics. What I want to highlight now is that we're a very welcoming university. We have a very large international student population. Each year we get 600 and 700 new international students enrolled with us, a good proportion of them being from India. And we also have as well the Indian Student Society here. So you'd feel right at home as soon as you join us. Next slide, please. To give you an idea of where the university is in England, we're right at the heart, as you can see on the map. We're right in the center. We're close to Manchester, Birmingham, and London. We're very close to airports and motorways as well. So very easy to get to and very easy to travel and explore the UK from Derby as well. I just want to highlight here that we are We are in a region where the birthplace and the Industrial Revolution happened. So we have very strong connections with engineering and local companies. Next slide, please. The city itself, as you can imagine, is much smaller than what you'd say. I would see Mumbai or Delhi or Kolkata. In total, it's about 250,000 residents. But we have a lot to be proud of. We have Rolls-Royce Aero engines, which are based in Derby, Toyota car manufacturing, and Bombardier train manufacturing, all based in Derby. The city has been attracting international residents for centuries. And for football fans as well, there's Derby County Football Club in the second division, the championship. We used to be in the Premier League a couple of years ago, but not so anymore. Next slide, please. We're also quite lucky to be located in an area of outstanding natural beauty. So just outside the city, you can go explore the Peak District, which is quite a big national park in the UK, and also has historic houses. I mean, the last picture you can see on the bottom right corner, that's Chancellor House. It was also inspiration for Jane Austen novels, which is quite something. Next slide, please. Talking about the university itself, we are about 15 minutes away from the city centre. You can walk it or you can take a bus, and as you can see from the map, the orange dots, the university accommodation, which is all over the place, all over the city, and we guarantee that international students can get a place in our accommodation as long as they accept an offer by June. So that's not something you have to worry about. But I'll speak about accommodation later. So next slide, please. I just want to highlight now the facilities. Firstly, the forensic sciences. We have a crime scene house. I mean, I'm quite passionate about this as I studied forensics many years ago. So basically, what a crime scene house means that if you're studying forensics, as part of your exams, you would actually have to try and solve a crime. So you are marked by your lecturers and academics by the way you take DNA samples, the way you take fingerprints, and the way you analyze them. So it's a very practical approach. Next slide, please. And the same practical approach can be applied to most of our programs, but just highlighting here for anyone interested in economics, finance, or business, we have what's called the Bloomberg Suite, which allows you to trade on the London Stock Exchange live as you were actually trading, which is excellent way of gaining real life understanding of the process. Next slide, please. But I just mentioned too, but as you can see, we have loads of courses. We have over 100 undergraduate courses ranging from sociology, English language to motorsport engineering, if you're a fan of Formula One or racing, to mechanical or architecture. There's a great array of programs, and it's down to you to choose which one is suitable for yourself. Obviously, I'm not going to speak about all of them now because it would keep us till the evening, but just wanted to highlight what we could have on offer. So next slide, please. We also focus very much so on employability. We have excellent employer links with the companies in the area. There's internship opportunities, there's student placement opportunities, there's study trips. There's also, from the moment you register with the university up to after you graduate and 3 years after, you get full career support and guidance on how to find the best place for you. Next slide, please. This is just to give you an example of the companies our students either interned or did placement with or are currently working at. There's Rolls-Royce, there's Toyota, there's always a Tata Consultancy as well. These are just the major ones. We have hundreds of smaller and medium-sized companies with which we work. Next slide, please. I mentioned student accommodation earlier. We have plenty available for all international students. Price-wise is between £500 and £600 a month, including all bills. So it's obviously just your own room, and you would share just the kitchen. One thing I'd like to highlight here is because you get everything in university accommodation, from internet to bills and everything. If you're an international student, whichever university you're going to, I always recommend just going straight into student halls. It's a great way of making friends and meeting new people, especially in the first year, halfway around the world away from home. Next slide, please. To give an idea of pricing for Derby, a course cost is £14,045. So that's per year. So that's about 16 lakh rupees per year for one undergraduate course. Next slide, please. We also have a large number of scholarships and discounts available. You can see them here, but just want to speak about the Vice Chancellor Scholarship briefly. The Vice Chancellor Scholarship is a one-year tuition fee waiver for the best students. So all our scholarship are academics based, merit and academics based. So we also have the International Excellence Student Scholarship worth £5,000 as well. They are basically discount on the tuition fees. And just one more thing on scholarships. The last recipients of the Vice Chancellor Scholarship, the last 3 ones were all from India. So of course, the better marks you have, the higher chance you have of getting a scholarship from us. Of course, we have also sports scholarships and everything. No, go on to the next one. That's fine. Thank you. With regards to entry requirements, what we normally expect is a standard 12 with a minimum of 70%. If you're from the CBSE or ICSE boards and you achieve or Maharashtra State Board, if you achieve 75% in English, you don't need to take an IELTS or a similar English language test. As you can see, there's quite a few tests we accept. Also, if you're taking a US or a Canadian high school curriculum, then you could be exempt from English language as well. And of course, the documents and information we mentioned at the beginning of the session. Next slide, please. Just want to say thank you, everyone. You got our email addresses there in case of anything, in case any questions, if you don't want to ask them after this. And now I'll pass on to my colleague, Emma from Kent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sim. Thank you, Shweta, for both really good presentations about your university. I'm learning a lot about different universities in the UK over the last couple of days, so it's very great. So I just want to spend the next 10 minutes or so just kind of briefing you on the University of Kent. I apologise, there's be more slides. I know sort of PowerPoint presentations are not always the funnest, but please do bear with us, and hopefully it'll give you a good idea about what we have here at Kent. So just a little bit in terms of an introduction. So we were established in 1965, and each year we have just around 20,000 students who come and study with us. Vast majority of them tend to be at undergraduate level, but we do get a significant portion of postgraduate, masters and PhD students. The thing with Kent, our sort of reputation and our stance is very much focused on research-led teaching. And for us, teaching is not just about kind of the repetition of facts and figures and just sort of the regurgitation of information from books. What we do is that we try to engage students in conversations, try to, give them a chance to learn from others, give them a chance to discuss, to debate, and also to disagree as well. So having that kind of vital interaction and conversations is at the bedrock of all of our teaching here at the University of Kent. We are very much an international university. In 2020, we were ranked in the top 10 of the world's universities for an international outlook. Our student body represents about 164 different nationalities, and our academic staff, just under 40% of them are from outside of the UK. So it is a very much an international multicultural community we have here at the university. One of the other things that we really focus on with all of our programs is providing students the opportunity, the platform to build their successful future. And we do that through a number of initiatives that help in terms of employability and career skills. And I will come on to that a little bit later in the presentation. Next slide, please. So for those of you who are not familiar with the geography of the UK, so Kent is located in the southeast of England. The county of Kent is very much known as the Garden of England. So when you picture kind of rolling hills and green spaces and farmland and beautiful countryside, that's very much kind of the county of Kent. One of the unique things about our university is that we actually have 4 campuses. We have 2 in Europe, so in Paris and Brussels, and these are our dedicated postgraduate centres that specialise in particular subjects. But for our undergraduate students, they will be based at one of our UK campuses, which is either Medway or Canterbury. And as you can see on the map, they are both very close to both London, but also Paris and Brussels as well. London is just an hour's train ride from each campus, and Paris and Brussels are just 2 hours on the high-speed train. So it's a really great in terms of sort of, exploring other parts of the UK, being close to London, and also being close to Europe as well. So it's a real added benefit from studying with us here at Kent. Just to sort of briefly introduce you to our 2 UK campuses. The first is our Canterbury campus, which is 300 acres of parkland. And you may not be able to see it from that small image on the screen, but it is a very beautiful campus in terms of the facilities, the teaching areas that it has, but also the surroundings. It's lots of wide open, expansive green location. So if you are interested in sort of having that more kind of rural kind of green countryside sort of living, then Canterbury campus is definitely one for you. It has everything that you need in terms of supporting your studies in one place. So both sort of the teaching space, the accommodation, all of the social aspects, and also the campus facilities such as cafes, restaurants and shops are all available in that one site. We are just about a 25-minute walk or about a 10-minute bus ride to the Canterbury city centre. And I'm sure many of you have heard of Canterbury already. It is a World UNESCO Heritage Site, very famous for its beautiful cathedral. And each year receives thousands of visitors, tourists, both all UK and international tourists who visit our beautiful city every year. And the good thing about Canterbury City is that it does offer a lot in terms of supporting students. It's very much a student city. So lots of kind of places for hospitality, for eating out, for meeting friends and socializing. It's a really great place to study. And the great thing about the Canterbury campus, it's very easy to commute to other parts of Kent as well. 20-minute bus ride, you are in the beach town of Whitstable, which is very famous for its seafood, but also its beaches as well. So it's a really great place to kind of get out and explore. Our second campus is our Medway campus, which is not too far away from our Canterbury campus. And similar to our other campus, it's very much kind of built around sort of historical places. So the Medway campus is actually a former naval base. So it's very much kind of a lot of history built into the area. It's a very kind of friendly and close-knit campus. Everything that you need in terms of facilities is available to you. And again, it's very easy to commute from between Canterbury and Medway, but other parts of Kent and further afield as well. So it's a really great place to study too. Next slide, please. So as my colleagues have mentioned as well, there's lots of courses available at most UK universities. Here at Kent, we do have a large number, and I'm sure you're relieved to hear I'm not going to go through every individual one. But I do want to highlight a couple of them, those that are particularly popular for our Indian students who come and study with us here at Kent. Many of the courses at the Kent Business School continues to attract a large number of international students, whether it be international business or management or marketing or finance and economics. Also, our School of Computing and Engineering also offers a large number of programs, particularly focusing on cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, software engineering, or mechanical or electrical engineering. So there's lots of options when it comes to looking at potential courses here at Kent. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned at the introduction, one of the things that we really focus on here at the University of Kent is very much on employability and providing the platform that our students need to succeed, whatever their future plans may be. And we do this through a number of different initiatives here at the University of Kent. Next slide, please. And this 3 tables with lots of information in them, just to kind of give you an idea about how we support our students. And our aim is very much, by doing this, we aim to give students that inspirational student experience. Through our learning, teaching and resources, we have first-class facilities, we have study hubs, we have Wi-Fi across the campus, brand new library facilities, there's books and laptop borrowing as well. So there's lots of ways that students can get their academic side supported. We also have academic advisors, buddy schemes. You will have your own tutor that you can have your one-to-one academic support with. But also our student support and wellbeing team are really fantastic at providing lots of guidance support to students, whether it be on the financial side, whether it be on health and well-being, whether it be on housing or employment. There's lots of support options available for students as and when needed. One of the other things that we do as well is, in terms of employability, is very much focused on transferable skills. And this is something that's inbuilt into all of our programs here at Kent. What you will find on each of the course pages on our website, it breaks down the transferable skills that you would develop and enhance when studying here at Kent. So it focuses on things such as team working, problem solving, negotiation, leadership, and presentational skills. So all of these are key aspects and are needed in whatever career that you look to develop after your studies. So these are the kind of things that you would develop and enhance when you are studying at the undergraduate level with us. It's also worth noting that many of our academic schools have really close industry links with various different organisations, including sort of the Royal Biological Society. They work very closely with the School of Biosciences, for example. Many of our degrees are accredited by professional organisations, which is just a recognition not just of the quality of the programme, but also the relevance it has to that particular subject area. As well as that, many of our undergraduate courses also offer opportunities to get work experience, whether it be through initiatives such as the Kent Law Clinic, or whether it be actual sort of working in an industry for a year through many of our courses. I know the business programs, the computer programs, the journalism programs, they all offer industry placement years, which means that for a year, as part of your studies, you would be able to work with an organisation here in the UK, getting that invaluable work experience, which is it's fantastic in terms of building on the knowledge that you've gained through your studies. The types of organisations we've worked with before is varied, including things such as Microsoft, HSBC, local governance or local charities as well. So there's lots of avenues for you to get that practical work experience whilst you are studying. We also have a dedicated careers advisory service that does a lot for students throughout the year. It organises workshops where you can go and learn about sort of how to write an effective CV or brush up on your interview skills. They also have career fairs where potential employers come in and meet with students and talk to them about what it's like to work at a particular organisation or industry. And it's also worth remembering that whilst you are studying, you can also work a part-time role for up to 20 hours per week. And there are many students who do that not only to supplement their income, but also to get invaluable work experience whilst they are studying too. Next slide, please. So outside of the classroom is so important when it comes to studying abroad and studying at a UK university. We know that when international students do come to the UK, they're not just coming just for the academic side, but they're also coming for the full student experience. And this is something we do really well here at Kent, and we have lots of ways in which students can get involved in activities outside of the classroom. At our Canterbury campus, we have a sports centre that runs a lot of clubs and classes throughout the year. So whether it's you're interested in going to the gym or doing Pilates or getting involved with a competitive sport, so whether it be football, cricket, basketball, tennis. So if you have experience of sport before or would like to learn something new and meet new people, then the Kent Sports Arena is definitely one to consider for the future. If arts, music and culture is more your thing, then these are definitely something that you can find here at Kent too. We do a number of events both on campus but also in local facilities as well. So I know there were performances at Cathedral previous to sort of pandemic. So we have lots of activities for you to get involved: theatre, dance, music, screenings, and all that kind of thing. And we also have lots of ample ways to sort of meet and socialise with other students, whether it be at the cafes, the restaurants, all these facilities you would find on both our Medway and Canterbury campuses. Next slide, please. Another great way for you to sort of get out, meet people and get involved is definitely through the unions and societies. Here at Kent, we have a large number of groups that you can get involved with, too many to mention. But as you can see on sort of the infographics, there's a wide variety of union societies you can get involved with. Anything from the Indian Society to the cooking or the feminist or the wine tasting society, whatever your interest is, you know, there's guaranteed to have kind of a society and a club for you. It's a really great way to kind of meet people, but also to take a break from your studies as well and really relax and focus on your mental well-being. It's a really great chance to de-stress with all of your assignments and studies that you're doing. Next slide, please. In terms of accommodation, we have lots of rooms available both at Canterbury and Medway. The types of rooms are varied. We have sort of ensuite, self-catered, shared facilities. So there's lots of different rooms to suit your budgets as well. They usually start from about £140 per week. And whilst we do have ample kind of supply of rooms, if you do want to secure your preferences, then we always encourage you to book as early as you can. So as soon as you do get an offer from the University of Kent, you can just go onto the accommodation page on our website and reserve your room through that application process. Next. Okay, just a few kind of important details when it comes to entry requirements, and it is very similar to my colleagues at Derby and Bristol in terms of kind of academics and language. So for us here at Kent, you should be looking to achieve between 65 and 75 in your standard 12 overall. But again, just to be aware that some subjects have particular requirements, so you might have to have a strong background in mathematics, for example, for the computer-related programs. For English language, if you achieve over 70% in your standard 12 English, then you could get a waiver. If you don't, then you might need to take a language test, such as an IELTS, Pearson or TOEFL. You might also need to provide portfolios as part of your application, but again, please do check that on the course pages on the website. And in terms of the tuition fees, they range from about £16,000 to £20,000, depending on which course that you select. Next, please. And just following on from that is about scholarships, which I know are very important to many of you. Here at the University of Kent, we do have a number of scholarships available for international students at undergraduate level. Many of them are merit-based scholarships. So if you do achieve a high overall mark in your standard 12, it certainly puts you in a good position when it comes to the scholarships. If you do have a background in music or sports, so represented your school or your district at a national level in these activities, then please do refer to them in your application, because we do have scholarships that are focused on these areas, so there's a chance that you could get additional funding through your experience on these. Next, please. And finally, just for me, just to reiterate that there's lots of information on our website, including links about our accommodation. We have a number of open days coming up, so please do feel free to sign up to them. They are virtual. And my email address is there as well. So please do feel free to reach out if you have any questions about courses at Kent, about scholarships, or about the application process. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. And I very much thank you for listening today, and I hope you found it useful and informative. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Emma, Sim and Shweta, for the wonderful presentation. I'm sure the students would have found it very informative. And with this, we now enter into our final round for this particular program, which is the question and answer session. So I would request the student, the school counselors, coordinators, teachers, and the students and their parents to feel free to post their questions in the chat box. We would request you to make the most of this opportunity that you have to interact with the UK University delegates. Anything relevant that you have in mind with regards to your undergraduate or further higher studies, please feel free to ask in the chat box, or you can just raise your hand and unmute yourself and go ahead with your question. So we have a question here from Yashasvi, which says, what will be the average cost of living in UK? So any one of you would like to take it?
I'll take that initially. I think it varies between the cities as well, to be honest. One thing's London, and one thing's outside London, and there's difference between Bristol, Derby, and Kent as well. But what I say is 700, 800 pounds, we said, Derby, including accommodation and everything. But to be honest, it's down to your personal preference and how you lead your student life. If you want to go out often, if you want to eat out often, it's going to be obviously more expensive. Emma, Shweta, anything from your end?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Absolutely same. Yeah.
I was just going to mention, so yeah, it does very much depend on where you're based. Here in Kent, we are sort of close to London, so our prices may be a little bit more expensive than what you may find in Derby, but we're not as expensive as London. So generally, we always advise students to have between £10,000 to £12,000 for their academic year to cover accommodation and living costs. But as Sim mentioned, it depends on how frugal you are as a student or how much you decide to go out and socialise. It very much depends on you and your budget, really.
Yeah, and for Bristol as well, it would be equivalent to this, like it would be between 10 to 12,000 pounds that we mentioned. Then again, it depends how much do you want to spend and how much do you want to socialize. Roughly in Indian currency, it would be around 10 to 12 lakhs a year.
Thank you. Thank you. We have another question around the same theme. That's, I mean, the respective universities about assistance provided in getting an part-time work while they're studying over there. Obviously, there are working hour limitations depending on the course, but is there any assistance from the student union in your respective universities or other bodies for a part-time job?
Yeah, I think what you will find is that a large number of the UK universities will have their own kind of careers advisory service. I know certainly at Kent we do, and I know they do at Derby and Bristol as well. And the careers advisory service are often a really great place to start in terms of jobs and sort of career questions. I know here at Kent we have a database that students can search through for part-time work opportunities. So that's a really good port of call when it comes to sort of looking for jobs and knowing where to start. Definitely head to the Careers Advisory Service.
Yeah, similar for Bristol as well. We do have career support team that sits in the international office, and they will be able to help the students. And there are 2-3 different portals that students would be able to access once they are in the university, and the opportunities are available on those portals as well. They are advertised there.
Thanks.
Derby as well, yeah.
Thank you, Sim. So we have a question, not exactly a question. Vanshika unfortunately missed the first part of the webinar with regards to the personal statement. So Vanshika, it was a 30 minutes presentation, so it cannot be squeezed in this time. We have a limitation of time, but you know, any one of you can just give the most important aspect of a personal statement within a couple of lines. That would really help Vanshika.
Yeah, I'm happy to sort of build that one. I think.
Yes, please, Emma. Yeah.
The biggest advice I can give you is definitely have a look on the Ucas website in the first instance, because they have lots of information about personal statements. And I know there's some video tutorials on there about how to do them in terms of structure. I know at the University of Kent, there's also have lots of videos on our YouTube pages about completing your application. So definitely do a little bit of research. But I think the important thing to remember at the personal statement is that this is there to support your application. So it's about showcasing you as an individual, your achievements, and why you would be the best student for that particular subject.
Thanks, Emma. We have a question around scholarships in undergraduate programs. So the question is that are all the undergraduate scholarships merit-based or some are exam-based? That's the question.
For Derby, they're all merit-based depending on the grades in Standard 12.
Yeah, so for Bristol, we do not have any merit-based scholarship. There's a scholarship form wherein there are 3 questions, which are more or less based on one parameter, that how you've been serving to your community at the moment, and tomorrow, once you're done with the program with us, how would you serve back to your community? How can you be a brand ambassador for our university, and how well the mission and the vision of your program is interconnected to your career path? So more or less on these parameters, there are 3 questions. You need to answer those 3 questions, and based on your selection. So it's not a guaranteed scholarship, it's a competitive scholarship for Bristol.
For Kent, our scholarships are very similar to what Sim said about Derby. So all of our scholarships are merit-based for undergraduate students. However, when we are assessing applications, we do look at the academic in the first instance, but then we also look at the entire application. And that's where your personal statement can really serve in your best interest when it comes to scholarships. So really do kind of, make sure that your statement is as best it can be, because that could be the difference between you getting a scholarship or not.
Thanks, Emma. The next question is for Shweta, and that is that if one wanted to study engineering at the University of Bristol, which exam would they have to appear for apart from IELTS?
There is no specific exam that you need to appear if you want to study engineering. It's just that there would be CBSE scores requirement with a subject specific requirement as well. That could be either mathematics or any other subject referring to which program you want to apply to. And there would be only IELTS if you do not meet the scores for CBSE. Otherwise, there's no separate examination.
Thanks, Shweta. Hope that answers the question. The next question is about the study mode, whether it's going to be online, offline, or blended from here on.
For Derby, it's going to be offline. Basically, we're expecting all students to be here in the UK, in Derby, and face-to-face teaching and seminars as well. The only place where we might still have online lectures is where really large lecture halls of 200 to 300 students. Otherwise, everything is in person and very little online.
Yeah, similar to Derby, we are also planning to do it face-to-face. So we want that all the students should reach to the campus. But yes, there is an option for certain programs wherein if students want to do it online, they can register online by the time they can reach to the university. And also we would be avoiding where there are a large number of students, which are mass lectures. So we would be avoiding those because of the pandemic. And then we are planning to move as soon as possible on the pre-pandemic situation, like we used to have classes before.
Yeah, and I think it's very similar situation really. All of our courses at the moment are being delivered in a blended way. So very similar to my colleagues, that their lectures are being done virtually, but the smaller sort of seminars and one-to-one sessions will be done on campus face-to-face. But we're very hopeful and optimistic that come the next academic year, so September 22 onwards, we'll revert back to as we were pre-pandemic.
Thanks, Emma. Now, as part of the undergraduate programs that you deliver, are there any possibility of student exchange programs in any of the courses?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Yes, so here at Kent, we do have some programs that have kind of, study a semester abroad or study a year abroad. It all very much depends on the course you're looking to study. What the biggest advice I would give you is when you go onto the Kent website and you sort of navigate to the course page, at the top it will give you sort of what added extras, as I call it, are available through this course. So it highlights things such as a placement year, study abroad year, for example. So it very much depends on which course you're looking to study.
Similar for Bristol as well, we do also have certain programs which offer a semester abroad or a study abroad. I would advise you to have a look at the website for those programs, and you will find a link in that program wherein you can see where all you can go and do that study abroad semester or any.
Same for Derby as well, like my two colleagues. It varies, and I suggest just go on the web pages depending on your desired course.
Thank you, Sam. Now we move on to the next question, which is about procedure to study medicine in a UK university. So the question is a bit general. It's about any entrance exam that's required in terms of a NEET or MCAT or UCAT. And also, can you do an undergraduate course in life sciences, for example, microbiology, and then join a medical course?
So I would want to take that. So probably for medicine, yes, we would require your CBSE scores and the UCAT examination as well. But it cannot be this way that you are studying molecular medicine and then you want to go for MBBS, because these are two separate programs. However, in universities, in our university, we do have open units wherein you can have and you can go and attend those classes and get the knowledge of that program. But this transfer, I don't think so that would be possible.
Yeah, here at Kent, we have just one medical program at undergraduate level, which is the 5-year medicine program. We don't have any kind of life sciences at undergraduate. We do offer those kind of specialist areas at postgraduate, but similarly, sort of, they are very different. So it will be quite hard to transfer between the two, sort of academically.
Thank you. The next question is again for Shweta, and that's about the placement opportunities. I mean, are there companies who are coming to campus for engineering students at the end of their term?
Yes, so regarding the career support, as I mentioned before, so there is a career support team that sits in the university that, of course, helps you with your resume making and doing an entire planning for your interview and how you should go ahead and approach the employers. With addition to that, there are two major career fairs that happens in the university, one in the month of November and the second one in the month of May. These are the larger career fairs which happen on a larger scale with a great portfolio, with a larger number of portfolio of companies coming to campus and recruiting. But then there are small career fairs that keeps happening around the year. Now, those small career fairs could be maybe someone who's studying with School of Management, they would have their own. School of Engineering would have their own. So confining to their own faculties, they might have different small career fairs as well. So yes, we do support the students with this area as well.
Thank you, Shweta. The next question is about the last date of application for the 3 universities, which basically translates to the last date of application for Ucas. So, if you can please answer.
Yeah, if I'll just take that. So for the last date of application, ideally it's 15th of Jan by Ucas, but for this year it has been extended by Ucas, which is 26th of January now. So ideally the last date for you guys is to apply is 26th of January 2022 for the 2022 intake.
Thank you, Shweta, for answering. The next question is around: is there any entrance exam required for studying engineering? So this is for all the 3 universities. Any entrance exam required?
Not for Bristol. Emma, you want to take on?
Not for Kent either. It's just mainly sort of academics that we look at.
Yeah.
So you're 12.
Same for Derby as well.
Thank you. So the question is with regards to law courses, is NLAT required for all the 3 universities?
For Bristol, we do need that. Emma, could you tell for Kent and Sim, please?
Yeah, for Kent, it's just academics again, so you don't need to have an LNAT for the law programs.
Derby is exactly like Kent, so no LNAT, thank you.
So we have room for a few more questions. We still have around 7 to 8 minutes left to conclude the session. I would request the student to come up with other relevant questions that they have in mind and get it clarified by the university delegates. There's a question around what is the requirement for digital media. I believe what she meant was digital media courses.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean,
unfortunately, at Bristol, we do not have digital media program. So I'm sorry, you can continue, please.
no. For Derby, it's digital media and marketing, so mainly marketing focused. So there's no specific requirements apart of 70% in standard 12.
And
Emma,
Ken,
would you?
yeah, sorry, I couldn't push the mute button. And Ken, we don't have a sort of digital media marketing. Journalism program.
Thank you. And again, a question for all three of you: that do we have BSc or BA in economics?
Yes, from Derby. Shweta?
Yeah, it's a yes from Bristol as well. And there are separate combinations as well that students can explore with economics, whether it could be mathematics, management, and others as well. You can explore that on the website too.
Yeah, and exactly the same for Kent. So we like Bristol offer a number of programs that you can combine the two subjects, so economics and law, economics and management, for example. So definitely have a look on the university's website.
Thank you. The next question is about a master's degree in engineering. Is a master degree offered in engineering courses in Bristol?
Yes, we do have that.
So that answers the question. The next question is for all three of you. Can we do a job in India after doing courses in these universities?
From Derby, yeah, I can't see why not really. All of us are fully accredited, world-renowned universities, so I can't really see an issue. Personally, of course, if it's a law degree or if anything specific which requires regulatory approval, double check that. But yeah, Emma, Shweta, anything from your end?
Yeah, so of course, yes, you can work in India after doing the programs. The only thing wherein there is a thing if you want to if you want to become a lecturer and if you do a PhD in UK, and because the PhD duration is little shorter than, and because it's like if you do a PhD in UK and then you come back in India and if you want to be a lecturer here in any university, you need to do some bridging course to meet those requirements, and then you can work. It's just for the PhD students. Otherwise, there's no issue with undergraduate or masters. Emma, you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, on the Kent side, I mean, exactly just to echo what both Shweta and Singh said, really, there's no reason why studying at any of our universities we wouldn't be able to return home to get the jobs that we're looking for. So absolutely no problem in it. So.
Thanks for the answer. The next question is maths required for law program in the universities?
So
For
for
Derby,
Bristol,
no.
yeah, for Bristol also no.
It's a no for Kent. So.
The next question is, will the marks of NEET NEET be required for medical courses?
No for Bristol.
Yeah, and a no for Kent as well.
The next question is around any specific requirements for courses in psychology.
For Derby, they need 70% in standard 12 mathematics.
And for Bristol, we need 88% overall with an 8.5 in any science related subject, because it's a BSc psychology program. We do not offer a BA psychology program. So that science related subject could either be computer science, biology, chemistry, psychology also, and statistics, geography and mathematics too.
For our Kent programs, you do need to have a good level of mathematics, at least at grade 10, which is equivalent to the UK GCSE. And if you are thinking about doing sort of the forensic psychology and a background in that, then you might need to have science background as well. So kind of the science track from your standard 12.
Okay, thank you, Emma. The next question is, what are the procedures of pursuing a master's degree in biotechnology?
Mm-hmm.
So I believe the question is around the entry requirement for a master's program in biotechnology. Yeah, please go ahead.
So here at Kent, we do have a master's that looks at biotech and business, and that is a one-year master's. And in terms of the entry requirements, it's usually students would have to have a degree that's in the relevant biosciences discipline. So you would need to have an undergraduate degree in order to pursue the masters and achieve at least kind of on the CGPA at least kind of 5.5 and above.
So for Bristol, it's like that we do not have a specific program for biotechnology, but we offer programs in biomedical engineering, biomedical sciences research, and biorobotics as well. But there's nothing specific for masters for biotechnology.
Thank you.
Sim, you want to say something?
It's similar, really. I mean, it depends on the undergraduate degree going on to a postgraduate one. It needs to be in a related field with a good grade, with a good GPA, 6 out of 10 at minimum.
Okay, so there's a couple of questions that I would like to club, and that is any specific requirement with regards to designing or economics courses. I'm combining two questions.
For economics, we need a Derby Standard 12 with 70% in maths minimum, and for design, it would be a portfolio one, depending which one. If it's engineering, it's something we need maths as well. If it's just product design, it's mainly the portfolio in regards to design.
And for Bristol, for economics, we need 88% overall in your CBSE ISC with an 8.5 in mathematics. And unfortunately, Bristol does not offer any designing programs. Other than at undergraduate, it's an engineering design, nothing into other design programs.
And for Kent, our economics requirements are very similar to Bristol and Derby. For our design programs, we do have a number of sort of design sort of specifics undergraduate level that look at things such as digital or graphic design. A lot of them you need to have kind of background in a relevant subject. So whether it be art, design, or technology, for example, we definitely have a look on the individual course pages for more details about what is needed.
Thank you. And we'll take this last question of the day, which is on the similar lines. It's about specific requirement around the business management programs in finance and marketing.
I think for Kent, it's very similar to what we've all been saying really before in terms of the entry requirements. I think mathematics, particularly for finance and some business programs as well, you do need to have a good at least, if you have standard 12 at mathematics, that's certainly a good position. For the finance and marketing, you will definitely have to have a stronger maths degree.
And for Bristol, it's that the same, the one that I was talking about, 85% or above in your CBSEs.
For Derby, it's as previously 70% minimum mathematics standard 12.
Okay, thanks. And okay, we'll take this too. And finally, the last one. What are the requirements for studying aerospace engineering for undergraduate students? So in case you have this program, if you can throw some light.
Yeah, so for Bristol, we need 88% overall in your CBSE ISC with a 19 mathematics and an 8.5 in any one of either physics, chemistry, or computer science in any order. So this is the academic requirement. That's all we would require. There's no extra examination that we would require.
Derby doesn't have aerospace, I'm afraid.
And nor does Kent, I'm afraid.
Thank you. Thanks very much. And there's a question from Varnika which says requirements for law. I think we have already gone through it. So yeah, Shweta, if you can just repeat.
Yeah, sure, I will.
Yeah.
So for law, our bare minimum requirement is 85% and above in your CBSE ISC, with an extra examination that you would be appearing for is LNAT examination. I would recommend you to go to the website of University of Bristol and just check on about LNAT over there. Just go to LLB and you'll be able to see everything over there.
Thank you, Shweta. So thank you everyone. With this, we come to an end of this session. On behalf of British Council, we would like to thank Ashok Hall School for Girls, Ashok Hall Higher Secondary Girls for School, and also to the Tagore International School. Thank you very much for your time, and we really appreciate, and we would hope that this is first of the many collaborations that we'll have in the future. I have already posted the email ID of the respective delegates from the university in the chat box. Please take a note of it, and you can, if any question that we were not able to take today, you can write to the university delegates directly, or you can route it through the British Council. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a great session. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma, Shweta, and Sim. I just request you to be there for a couple of more minutes.
Sounds good.
Sure.
Thanks.
হয়েছে কাজ তো তুমি জামা কাপড় ছাড়ো কি অবস্থা করেছে এটা ওই শার্টটা পরে গেছো ওই শার্টটা পরে আর শর্টসটা পরে তো বিছানায় উঠবে না তুমি সরি বসেছো কি বসোনি তুমি বাইরে বেরিয়ে
So it's only us. Thank you, Emma, Shweta, Sim. It was wonderful couple of days spent. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much as
Wonderful
well. It was really
presentation.
good.
It was really nice, and I personally thoroughly enjoyed. Would like to ask for any suggestions or feedback at this point. Of course, we'll be connecting later with the reports and all. But anything that you would like to suggest about the interest level of the student for such programs in the future, it'll be great.
Yeah, I thought today it definitely seems that maybe isn't talking as much. But it seems we have a lot more time for the questions, which I always think is a really part of today the sessions. You know, we want to hear from the students rather than us talking at them. So I thought today definitely seemed to flow a little bit better than yesterday, but that's because obviously we're used to it by then.
Yeah, and we also knew what we were talking about, so it was really good.
Yeah,
it was great. It was a great session, Azhar. Really, it was really nice. The kind of student quality and the interest that they have to study in the UK, that was tremendous. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to hear that. Thank you very much. And we'll surely, please feel free to connect with us for anything related to this program or any program in the future. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emma and Sim. Thank you. Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Have a lovely
Bye-bye.
evening.
Bye.